La Graciosa and Old Town Orcutt, then and now. In recent years, Orcutt's colorful past has made Old Orcutt's revitalization a top community priority. Despite rezoning more than 20-plus years ago to encourage development with a Western theme on Clark Avenue, progress has been minimal until recently when the Old Town Orcutt Revitalization Association came into being. Now, progress is being made. Early historical records and a book by Bob Nelson called Old Town Orcutt tell us that in 1868, Absalom Stubblefield, fresh from the Northern California goldfields, made his way down the treacherous Cuesta Grade. He traveled with his family, Indian guides, and 160 head of cattle and horses, and took advantage of the Homestead Act of 1862 to make his home on 320 acres of free government land in the Orcutt foothills. Other homesteaders with familiar names such as Halloway, Rigetti, Twitchell, Glines, Hobbs, and Martin soon followed. A former Irish soldier, Don Patrico O'Neill, opened La Graciosa, a trading center consisting of a store and saloon, around 1863 near the present location of Old Town Orcutt. And by 1870, it had 370 inhabitants living in surrounding shanties. The saloon doubled as a school, courthouse, and post office. The small community was served by Coastline Stage Company, which also went through the new settlements of Guadalupe and Los Alamos. The part-time courtroom in the saloon accommodated the Justice of the Peace, who had jurisdiction from the Santa Maria River to Santa Barbara. The wearing of hats and other disruptions were not allowed when court was in session. However, fines were frequently forgiven if the offender bought a round of drinks for all. Like other western towns, the forerunner of Orcutt was rough and it had its share of homicides. The first two recorded were between arguing cattlemen and later between drinkers in the saloon. Just as in a western movie, the area had a famous outlaw, Solomon Pico. Pico inhabited Solomon Peak, where he had an excellent view of riders coming across the dusty Santa Maria Valley. Pico arranged ambushes as the unsuspecting travelers slowed to come up Solomon Grade. The stage was held up many times, and many townfolk thought that the postmaster was part of the gang. But more than likely, the gang could see the coach leave from their vantage point of Solomon Peak. It is said that Solomon Pico's desperados later became the basis for the early Western movies. An 1877 land dispute caused La Graciosa to fade into memory until the oil boom of 1904 revived the area. During the first 100 days after Old Maud came in on Orcutt Hill, the oil gusher produced 1 million barrels of oil. By 1906, Orcutt, named after William Orcutt, a Union oil geologist, was a bigger trading center than Santa Maria. And as late as 1905, cattle were still driven down the dirt road of Clark Avenue on the way to the rail center. Orcutt was primarily an oil boom town, but still maintained its ranching influence and still lacked many of the refinements of larger towns. Cowboys and oil workers bellied up to the bars, and the boon attracted prostitutes, many saloons, drinking, and gambling. But slowly, over the years, the town has tamed. Recently, through the efforts of the Old Town Orcutt Revitalization Association, this rich and colorful historical character has been recaptured in our revitalization efforts to improve this important Central Coast asset. In prior years, the town slumbered and became both old and tired. It had been in and out of both the 4th and 5th districts and became a low priority at the hands of a string of local county supervisors. Zoning problems, excessive development fees, lack of parking and drainage problems had made it economically impractical to develop many of the small 50-foot lots with attractive western buildings. The Revitalization Association could see the potential of Old Town to become a pedestrian-friendly, Western-style trading and cultural center with many small shops, businesses, restaurants, and a creekside park that will encourage people to slow down and enjoy life. The group is composed of local residential owners, commercial property owners, history buffs, business owners, and interested citizens brought together by their common love of the rich and colorful history of Old Town Orcutt and its historic predecessor, La Graciosa. Hodgepodge is not a theme. Many California government-funded redevelopment agencies have no theme. Fortunately, for Old Town Orcutt, the common theme was and continues to be Western, and it's a local group of folks with no government entanglements. Too often, with government-sponsored agencies, a single, large, out-of-town developer often ends up owning the downtown area, and prior local small landowners are pushed out of the picture. Unfortunately, this also pushes out local interest and control. Old Town Orcutt in northern Santa Barbara County is a perfect example of the fact that one does not need redevelopment districts to accomplish the same goals. The group of about 150 individuals and businesses have worked with and at times cajoled the county into living up to the outlines set forth in the Orcutt Community Plan for the Old Town Cultural Center. First, the zoning was changed to allow the buildings to sit on the front property line, as was the custom in Old West communities. Good old private enterprise, capitalistic spirit, a common Western theme, and hard work by this nonprofit group have paid off handsomely for the Old Town area. The group has also sponsored a string of projects, including 4 new entrance signs, designer benches and trash cans, Western-style planters, redesigned street parking, 26-plus memorial trees, a large 17-foot community clock, and helped the county to get funding for a model street intersection. The group is now working on a community parking lot. Tentatively, this will be donated by a local company. These efforts have paid off with many private individuals investing in the Old Town Cultural Center. New and remodeled commercial units now total about 50, with new restaurants at 11, with more to come. Old Town Orcutt is now the home of many events such as the Bent Axles Car Show and the All Ford Car Show. In fact, it has become their desired venue. The hustle and bustle of people walking from one restaurant and shop to another is now apparent. Old Orcutt is now the place to dine on the Central Coast. It's a location that the whole family can enjoy. Redevelopment can be accomplished without massive layers of bureaucracy and funding. Rather, by community members taking the initiative and encouraging small property owners and businesses to invest in an upcoming neighborhood. Communities do not have to sell their souls to large out-of-town developers. Even Santa Barbara County now sees what a shining example they have and have prepared a video to share with other cities and communities. We need more organizations like the Old Town Orcutt Revitalization Association so tax funds can be saved for schools and other worthwhile endeavors.